Evans Tries an O-Level by Norman Colin Dexter. In this video lesson, you will find a simplified explanation and a critical appreciation of the story. About the author, Norman Colin Dexter was an English crime writer known for his Inspector Morse series of novels, which were adapted as an ITV television series, Inspector Morse. Evans Tries an O-Level is a story that deals with the account of a jailbreak by Evans, a criminal who was an expert in escaping from prison. It is about his smartness and foresight in planning his escape. With his meticulous planning and keen observation, he befools the jail authorities, outsmarts them, and manages to escape from the prison. The story depicts a clash of wit between a criminal and the law enforcing authorities and is a satire on the governing system. If the government and law enforcing officials are vigilant, then crime can be detected and criminals can be booked. But smart ones like Evans can hoodwink the authorities and escape punishment as long as the officials are slow and lack awareness. Let us now understand the story. Evans, a kleptomaniac, was imprisoned thrice, and each time he escaped from the prison. He was therefore titled or given the name of Evans the Break. Word meanings: congenital means from birth. Kleptomaniac is a person who can't refrain from stealing. When he was caught for the fourth time, he was put in the Oxford prison at Carfax. It was the most secure prison where jailbreaks were not at all common. Evans was aware of it. The charges against him are not known according to the text. Sensing that he was trapped, Evans made a new plan to escape from there. It was very complicated and involved many people at the same time. Evans requested the governor of the jail to allow him to learn German as he was genuinely interested in it and wanted to acquire an academic degree. In reality, this was an effort to break the prison. The governor agreed and arranged for a German tutor for Evans. He started taking night classes in O-level German and he was taught by a German tutor for 6 months. At the end of the coaching, he informed the governor that his student, that is Evans, was ready for the exam. The day before the exam, the tutor wished him good luck but made it clear that he had hardly any chance of getting through, means of passing. But Evans replied that I may surprise everybody. He had some other plan up his sleeve. His desire to appear in the O-level German examination was actually an effort to break the prison. And this is where the story started from. The governor contacted the examination board and arranged for an exam for Evans. O level is an ordinary level of examination. On the day of the exam, Jackson and Stephens, who are two officers, closely inspected Evans' cell. Cell means the prison room. They took away all suspicious objects like the razor, nail scissors, nail file, so that Evans could not injure himself. They also made sure that Evans did not have any potential weapon to make a jailbreak during the examination. But Stephens did not notice that while giving the razor back to him in the most artificial haste, Evans took out its blade. Ramrod means one who is a strict disciplinarian. Evans had put on a bobble hat and hadn't shaved. Mr. Jackson sternly asked Evans to get ready in half an hour and take off his filthy woolen hat. But Evans stirred Jackson's compassion by referring to the hat as his lucky charm. Jackson allowed Evans to wear it, even though he strongly detested Evans' long wavy hair. He compared Evans' hair to the hair of Shirley Temple. Keeping the hat with him was a part of his escape plan, as he wanted to hide his short, closely cropped hair. Reverend Stuart McLeary, a parson from St. Mary Mag's, was contacted and requested to go to the prison to invigilate the examination. The parson agreed and began his preparation for the exam. In reality, when Reverend McCleary was getting ready to go to the prison, two of Evan's friends came to visit him. They gagged and tied the parson, the real one that is, and one of them impersonated him. When they went out, one of them, that is Evan's friends, was dressed like Stuart McLeary. He was dressed in a long black overcoat and a shallow crowned clerical hat. Actually, his attire hid the material that Evans would require for his escape. Additionally, he carried a small brown suitcase with all the important documents in it. Two tables and chairs were placed facing each other in Evan's small prison. His cell was bugged with microphones so that the governor, who was outside, could himself listen to each and every conversation that happened inside. The authorities did not want to take any risk about letting Evans escape this time. Evans sat quietly with his book of grammar while the governor switched on the receiver to hear each and every sound in Evans' cell. The invigilator, Reverend S. McLeary, too, was frisked, and the contents of his suitcase were thoroughly inspected. The only puzzling thing inside it was a small, semi inflated rubber ring. The parson defended himself by saying that it was a cure for his extremely painful disease of piles. This rubber ring cushioned him if he was sitting down for a long duration of time. Having made a decent parson disclose a secret in such a shameful manner, the two officers felt embarrassed. They didn't want to search any more. He was allowed to resume his task. The rubber ring actually contained pig's blood mixed with a chemical to prevent it from clotting. Another part of Evans' great escape plan. At the commencement of the exam, Evans had to get rid of Officer Stephens and get something to cover himself with. Stephens was sitting outside the cell and peeped inside after every 1 minute when the exam began. Later, he peeped after every 2 minutes, as the scene inside was more or less the same. He did not notice anything suspicious. At 10:50, the governor heard Evans complaining that it was extremely cold inside and that he was not able to concentrate. He asked McCleary to put a blanket around him. This slight change surprised Stephens, but he decided to overlook it. The exam began in full swing. The invigilator remained reading his magazine. Stephens went up and down the corridor. The governor himself listened to the loudspeaker that caught conversations from Evans' cell, and Jackson kept a watch of all the rest. Keeping a pen between his lips, Evans observed Stephen's position in the corridor with the help of the shining bulbous head of the pen. The closer Stephens came, the dimmer was the brightness of the pen head. Actually, Evans was not writing any German O level exam. He was only going to disguise himself as the parson who had come to invigilate him. By the time only 5 more minutes remained for the examination to end, Evans and his friend, the invigilator, accomplished all that was a part of their plan. Evans put on the extra pair of clerical dress, cassock, front collar, etc., and that his friend had brought in, and glued a fake beard also. 5 minutes were left when Stephens heard Jackson shouting from the other end of the corridor, informing him that the governor was on the telephone line wanting to talk to him. Stephens was more than excited. He was feeling proud of himself because the governor wanted to talk to him. Stephens attended the call. Well, it was not the governor who spoke to him, nor was it Jackson who yelled from the other end. Excitement can make wise men also commit unforgivable errors. As per the call, Stephens got instructions from the governor on phone to accompany McCleary to the main prison gates. Stephens carried out his orders. He took the invigilator from the cell and led him out of the prison, and once again returned to Evans' cell to make sure that he was really there. Looking through the peephole, Stephen saw the most unbelievable sight. He found the invigilator wounded, with blood dripping from his closely cropped hair. But that was the deception. In reality, Evans was still inside, and his friend, the fake invigilator, was out. A complete chaos followed. In utter disbelief, Stephens called for Jackson, and in no time the entire prison was roused. Officers rushed to Evans' cell and saw the tortured parson, the poor invigilator, bleeding profusely and feeling weak. Everyone reached the one and only conclusion. Evans had escaped after beating the parson and fooling Stephens. Even though McCleary was writhing in pain, he asked for the governor as he knew where Evans was. He pointed at a photocopied sheet that had carefully been pasted on the last page of the question paper. It carried a message in German. The governor was able to translate some part of it. The governor had, by this time, also called in Detective Superintendent Carter to find the escaped prisoner, and in no time the famous detective arrived and offered to help the governor. He got a vague idea about the state of affairs and was ready to run out to get the escaped prisoner when the bleeding invigilator made an unusual offer to help the police and the detective. He said he knew where Evans could be found. That made sense. If a parson, that is a priest, especially one who was beaten and dying, offered to help the police, it made some sense. The governor allowed the parson, that is Evans in disguise, to accompany the detective. Wasn't it the most foolish thing to do? He seemed to be the only one who knew what was happening. Together they went out in the car. McCleary showed them the way while the governor questioned Stephens and Jackson about who let the disguised Evans out of the prison. They realized that they had been duped by a fake phone call. They were nonplussed about all the clerical paraphernalia and a weapon that Evans had managed to hide despite the tight security. As the governor looked at the last line of the slip, he realized that Evans was headed for Newberry. He contacted Officer Bell, who assured him that they would catch Evans. Meanwhile, the governor asked Carter about McCleary. He was informed that the parson was admitted to the Radcliffe Hospital. But when the governor contacted the accident department, he was told that the ambulance could not locate a bleeding parson like the one described by Detective Carter. With no clues about the disappearance of the parson, the governor telephoned Mary Maggs, the place where the parson lived, and upon breaking into Reverend Stuart McCleary's room, they discovered that the real parson had never gone out. Back in the prison, the governor abused Jackson and Stephens, after which he examined Evans' cell and procured a very important evidence regarding Evans. It was the correction slip that Evans had so foolishly left behind, and it had a hidden message written on its back. He was heading to the Golden Lion in Chipping Norton. The correction slip was a part of Evans' plan, but the plan had backfired. It seemed that the smart Evans had made a mistake. The governor contacted the detective for updates and was told that he had spotted Evans twice. The governor could not believe that. He believed the correction slip and decided to reach Golden Lion Hotel before Evans got there. He was trapped. Poor Evans. It had taken him 6 months to arrange everything, but now he was going to run into trouble again. Not knowing how his correction slip had deceived him, he reached the hotel, made his special orders at the reception, and got into his room. He locked the door and moved to the bed to rest and sleep. But surprise! Sitting on the bed was the governor, laughing out, beaming with pride. He asked Evans not to try anything. Evans had already tried hard enough. Defeated he was. He sat down on the floor, and this thrilled the governor. The governor walked down to the prison vehicles parked outside, and Evans followed. He was handcuffed. On the way, the governor asked Evans to explain how he managed to get the blood and all the other makeup. Evans had his humble answers, still accepting his defeat. He was handcuffed by a prison officer and was taken to the prison van. The van moved, and the governor followed it with an ebbing heart, imagining his consequent honor and awards in getting the smartest prisoner in the world. But he was in a fool's paradise. The prison officers in the van were actually Evan's friends disguised as officers. The moment they got rid of the governor, one prison officer, that is a friend of Evans, unlocked the handcuffs and asked the driver to move fast. In this way, Evans escaped to Newbury. An overconfident governor had never anticipated this. He would soon learn that this was also a part of Evan's plan, that he had left the correction slip in his cell and walked into the hotel room, clearly knowing that the governor would be waiting for him. And in this way, Evans fooled the officers and once again escaped from the prison. That was the end of my lesson. If you like this video, do like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel.